This was about 2 or 3 years ago. I live in Lake County, Illinois, in a townhome. My complex is surrounded by trees. Each townhome has a walkway that leads to each house. At the beginning of the walkway, there are stairs that start at the sidewalk and lead you to the walkway. There are also mailboxes at the top of the stairs. It was about 11 p.m. and I was hanging out by the mailboxes while on FaceTime with a friend. I walk down the stairs and get on the sidewalk. I look to my left and see an empty street. I look to my right and I see in the distance an all-white figure that's about 5'8" to 5'10". It had no facial features, it was wearing no clothes, no shoes, and had no hair. Nothing. It was marching straight towards me, and I ran up the stairs through my walkway and into my house freaking out. My friend thought I was dying and my parents didn't believe me. Fast forward to a couple years later. This was last year in August. I had two of my friends over for a sleepover. One of my friends was the person I was on FaceTime with when I saw the white creature. We wanted to sneak out and go to the gas station to get food, and we did. All night, we were joking around like, what if we see the white creature? What if the white creature kills us? We got our food from the gas station and chilled at the park until 3 a.m. We started to walk back. We were about a minute away from my house and the walkway. We could see the stairs and the walkway and where I originally saw the white creature. As we were walking back, we all saw an all-white figure walking away from us. All three of us stopped dead in our tracks. We started to freak out, but we waited a couple minutes and walked back into my house, and that was the last time I saw the white creature. Has anyone else ever seen this white creature? Does anyone know who this white creature is? My friends and I played with a Ouija board the other night and contacted a couple of spirits. Earlier in the evening, my friend and I contacted Zozo, and I immediately moved the blanket to goodbye, and we took a break. After some time later, we started again and talked to some very nice, peaceful spirits. At one point, we came across what seemed to be a powerful one. The blanket started moving very quickly, back and forth, to yes and no, with little hesitation. It was trying to communicate quickly, so we asked if there was an easy way for it to communicate, and it spelled out, talk. After this, I got a very large shift in my energy. I felt extremely weak in my muscles, and my hands became incredibly cold on the blanket. So I asked the spirit if it was trying to communicate through me. It said, yes. I have heard stories before of people who've been spoken through as a medium through the use of the Ouija board, but with only horror hauntings to follow. So naturally, I refused. A friend of mine offered instead. We were told by the spirit to take the rest of our hands off the blanket. Her whole demeanor then changed, and we began to ask it questions, and she would respond out loud for it in full sentences. She said it was as if the voice was in her ear and in her head at the same time. She said she felt very cold, and she was shaking a ton. During the whole experience, while her face became very warm. The spirit speaking through her mentioned there were 3 other entities in the room sitting around us, which she said also could see as faint outlines. The things she was saying gradually became more and more terrifying, things like, "I'm going to follow you home," and talked about how it killed its whole family amongst many other horrifying things. We had also done tarot card readings at the same time with the active Ouija board, to which the demon said the cards made it more powerful. The demon was trying to trick us the whole time, and was obviously lying, so I figured it was probably lying about that too. But I am not sure. Some truly terrifying stuff. We did end it properly and pushed it to goodbye, mostly wondering if I should be concerned for my friend. So, I live in Britain, and I've believed in ghosts for a while, but thought that cryptids were fictional creatures. That was until I saw a thing. I was helping a family member walk her dog, and it was pitch black at night. We had turned a corner when I felt like something was watching me. So I turned around to see what it was, and about 10 meters away from me was some creature. It was tall as a lamppost, and it was pale white. Its fingers were long and terrifying. It seemed to have no face. It was like if you mixed SCP-096 with a naked Slender Man. I was terrified, but I turned my back on it to tell my family member. But when I turned around again to have another look, the thing was about 7 meters away. I haven't seen it since, but then again, I haven't been looking for it that much, but I still have that feeling of being watched, and that fear of it, maybe being still near me. If anyone has any information on this creature, please let me know. Hi. I won't be using my real name for privacy reasons, but I will say I am a 15-year-old female. I'm from Nebraska. I know you are probably thinking cornfields, middle of nowhere, but that's not where I'm from. I live in Omaha, but I have always loved the outdoors. I go hunting and or hiking almost every weekend with my dad or with my friends. I went to Nebraska Nation Forest every long weekend with 2 friends who I'll call Haley and Todd. I have known them for years, and we would never hike alone because of the risks. So, we became a group. Anyways, it was spring break last year when we went on a week-long backpacking trip. It was a 7-hour drive there. I, being 14, couldn't drive, but Haley was 16 and Todd was 15. Haley drove us there, and we had a great time for the first few hours of the drive. But when we go closer to the forest, something felt off. I know it sounds cliche, but I had this feeling like I was going to get sick. I ignored it and thought I was just nervous. So Haley and Todd, I guess, noticed that I was off. They asked me what was up, and when I told them something wasn't right, they laughed thinking I was trying to scare them. A few hours later, and the feelings are still there, but we were at the trailhead. I got out and everything was as it should be. We grabbed our packs and off we went. I felt like I was at home in the trees, and the feeling was soon forgotten. We walked a little over 5 miles that day before we set up camp. We had a 2-person tent that Haley and I brought, and then a hammock Todd had brought. After we set up camp, ate, and we're just chilling by the fire, talking, Todd began complaining about how he didn't want to sleep in his hammock. I didn't want to listen to him complaining and offered to switch places. He gladly accepted. So the night went on like usual until around 2 a.m. when we all got tired and went to bed. Well, everyone but me. I have extremely bad insomnia, so I was just mending to the fire. Finally, I decided to get into the hammock and read. So I put out the fire, garbed my headlamp, and got into the hammock. I noticed that something was off, but I couldn't place what it was. And that's when it hit me. It was completely silent in the woods. No crickets, no animals, nothing. My skin started to crawl. Something was off. I turned out my headlamp and lay down and kept silent. I wanted to try and hear some type of animal to ease my worries. And that's when I heard it. Something was dragging against the tent. I wasn't even 5 feet from the tent. It freaked me out, and I did something really stupid. I called out my friends' names. The noise stopped. I got no answer, but this feeling of dread was something I haven't felt before or since. That's when I felt it. Something poked the hammock. It wasn't like a soft poke. It was like a jab. I was horrified. What had just touched me, and where was it? I was frozen. I also suffered from anxiety, and I felt the panic rising in me. I couldn't understand what was going on. That's when I made another mistake. I decided I wanted to see what had just jabbed me. All this happened within seconds. I reached up and clicked on my light, and that's when I saw it. It was out of my nightmares. There was a creature about 4 feet above me, staring at me, kind of hunched over. I was about 3 feet off the ground, so the thing was probably 7 to 8 feet tall. It looked like a dog, but it also didn't. It had the face of a wolf, but human in a way. The eyes looked red. Ears looked like clipped pit bull ears. Its mouth pulled back in a snarl, and a hand, claw, paw thing blocking its face. I was terrified. Its teeth were huge and sharp. The paws, if you could even call them that, had 5-finger-type things with sharp, long claws that looked like they could tear me apart. I stared at this thing for what felt like hours, but it was only probably 5 seconds. That's when I screamed bloody murder. As soon as I did that, this thing let out something between a scream and a howl. It was deep, and I could feel it. That's when I heard Todd yell, "What the hell was that?" I heard the tent opening, and that's when the creature and I finally broke eye contact. I yelled at Haley and Todd to help me. I looked back up, and this thing was climbing the tree. It was still staring at me. That's when I saw the back of it. It had a tail of a dog, grayish silver fur, a black mane down its back, and a hump. I took this opportunity to scramble out of my hammock. We took off without grabbing anything. I had no shoes, nothing. We made it to the car, but the whole time back, I heard something in the trees. The next day, we had park rangers go get our things, as we were freaked out. When they got there, everything was gone. Not even trash remained. It was as if we were never there. They blamed us for lying. We had no idea what had happened. I had no idea what I saw or why it didn't just kill me. I haven't been back in the woods for a very long time, but still, every time I close my eyes, I see that thing, and I hear its roar. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please give a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. Perhaps click the bell for notifications, and remember, hell is empty, and the devils are here.